Hey lazy people, it's Lazy Gamer here, bringing you another Magic Arena video. Today I'm going to do a deck profile that I made with the theme being food. So this is my Golgari food deck profile, which I've been using this quite a bit lately, and it's really fun, it's really resilient, it can just keep coming back and be able to play big things and get over creatures and just be able to handle a lot of different situations as well. But really, before getting into too much, I just want to go through the deck profile itself. So first we've got 4 of these Cauldron Familiar. So everybody's probably very familiar with this card. When it comes into play, it drains your opponent 1 life and you gain that life. You can bring it back by sacrificing a food. Very great with the engine that we run. Of course, when we play Gilded Goose for the 1 green, tier 2 flyer, everybody knows this as well, creates the food token and can add that mana of any color. And of course, what would the Cauldron Familiar be without the Witch's Oven? This is just a great pair with the Cauldron Familiar to keep bringing it back over and over. And this even works really well with some other cards in our deck, especially with that clause that you can get 2 food tokens instead if you sacrifice something with toughness 4 or greater, and that can be really relevant in some games. We've also played 3 Trail of Crumbs. This is a fantastic card in order to just get draw power, get more cards into your hands, and you can actually pick a lot of the times what you need. You can just pick a permanent. That's kind of the downside. It can't get certain things in the deck that aren't permanents, but we have good removal permanents like the Murderous Riders that you can get in case you need something in a pinch, and it works really well. If you get your Witch's Oven, your Trail of Crumbs, and your Cat down, you're pretty much drawing an extra card every single turn just by paying that additional mana, and you're also gaining a life and draining your opponent. So it's a very good combination by doing that. I played 2 Golden Eggs, just because this is something for just 2 mana. It's not terrible to do on your second turn. Go ahead and get down that additional food. That becomes pretty relevant, and it lets you draw a card. And even the mana fixing on this has came in handy for me a couple of times and saved me. So it's actually better than I originally thought. So I'm playing a couple of those. Of course, I need to play removal in this deck, so I've got 4 of the Murderous Rider. So able to kill a creature or a planeswalker, and I lose 2 life when using that Swift End side of this card. And then you can also play it for a 2/3 lifelinker, which is actually good at getting you back into games sometimes, especially if you're playing against really fast decks that are trying to get you down. I've got a little bit more removal in here too, as Eat to Extinction, instant speed, and it can exile a creature or planeswalker. That exile is important sometimes when you're facing these creatures and planeswalkers and anything really that can just become indestructible, and you've got to have a way to deal with that. And not to mention the whole card's name is Eat to Extinction, and this is a food deck, so yeah, lots of food. That's great. Gym Razor here is also a great addition to this deck. Whenever it mutates onto a creature, you can get rid of an artifact or an enchantment, and that can be really great at getting rid of really problematic enchantments and artifacts on your opponent's side of the field. And it can also go something Reach and Trample and be a 4/4 body. So, you know, if you need to put it on your Murderous Rider and gain some lifelink, or put it on the Goose and give it flying too, and it can just fly over things. There's all kinds of different things you can do. I really like the combination of putting it on Wicked Wolf as well. But it's a pretty great card. And at worst, it's a 4/4 for 4 mana with Reach and Trample, so that's never bad. You also got 3 Questing Beast, which this is a fantastic card, as most people know. What can it do? It's got so many abilities on the card. 4/4, Vigilance, Death Touch, Haste, can't be blocked by certain creatures, combat damage, all of this great stuff, dealing it to planeswalkers. It's just a great card to have, so I run 3 of them. Wicked Wolf. This can be the MVP of some games when it comes into play, just being able to go indestructible by eating a food and getting a +1/+1 counter on it. Not only that, but when it enters the battlefield, it fights a creature, so you can often get rid of something at the same time as putting an indestructible body on the board that can grow. And like I said earlier, if you mutate Gem Razor on top of this, then it's also going to get trample and just get all of that additional power from eating food, so it can become a threat really fast. And then I like to play 2 of these Feasting Troll Kings just because, I mean, this is the big food payoff, the big food monster in pretty much all of the food cards that they made, but Feasting Troll King, really big for 6 mana, 4 being green. You can get the 7/6 Troll Noble with Vigilance and Trample, and when he enters the field from your hand, you get 3 food tokens, so that's great. And then later on you can actually sacrifice 3 foods if he's in your grave and bring him back to your field. You can only do that on your turn, so that is a little bit of a limitation, but it doesn't have to be sorcery speed, so I've had times where people kill him on my end step, and since it's still my turn, I can still bring him back. And it can just be overwhelming how many times he can keep coming back and putting pressure on. And then finally, I play 25 total lands. There is more green than black in this deck, but I do have a couple of things that have like a double black, so I only play a little more green than black. I play 2 Castle Lockwain, great for draw power and just adds a black mana. Then I play 7 Swamps, 2 of the Castle Garenbrig, just because this can get you up to that 6 mana, which you can use to play a Feasting Troll King a turn earlier than you might have been able to. So that's a great way to synchronize with that. We also play 8 Forests in this deck, along with 4 Overgrown Tomb, and 2 of the Temple of Malady, which I don't really like playing the temples as much, just because they do have to come into play tap, but they do give you that scry, which is really useful, especially in some games, and it's a dual land, so of course it can provide you everything that you need. But yeah, this has been the deck profile here. I'm gonna make some videos of me playing some games with this deck too, so I'll try to provide a link in the description below for that. But again, this has just been a deck profile for my Golgari food. If you like what you saw here today, please just feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and have a great day.